Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for liking the videos and thank you for subscribing as well. Please continue to share and like the videos. It is totally appreciated. So we're hearing good news this morning, right? I woke up and I was going through the Gleaner, and the first story that I saw was Burna Boy falls in love with Jamaica and seeks to purchase home. So this is good news, right? We have stood out amongst the other places that he is visited, right? Because you know that he's on that Love Damini tour and he has been to many countries, but I never heard anything in the news that he will be purchasing a home on any of these islands or countries that he has visited, right? And Jamaica has stood out. So you know that we have a gem here, right? And we need to be aware of that and do our best to represent in the best possible light, because others see what we have here and they gravitate towards it. They love the music, the food, the energy, the vibration that's here. It's not present in many places, right? Attest to the fact that when you are coming back to Jamaica, there's something that when the plane touches the soil, you know, you just feel like, yes, I'm home, right? And you feel lighter, you feel happier. I don't know what it is, I can't explain it, but this is, it's our birthplace. So maybe that's why we feel the way we do, right? And others have caught that vibration. And I am so happy to see this, right? So you can tell from the way the concert went, I mean, a smile has never left his face while he was performing. And he was such a professional as well and very warm to the crowd. And the crowd was actually eating out of his hands. They were singing his songs word for word, even when he was singing his African language, right? I mean, they knew the words word for word, right? And that tells a lot. That speaks volumes, right? And you can see the vibration. He knew that he was among his people. He knew he knew that he was welcome here. A lot of people fell in love with Burna Boy, and of course they see him as one of us, right? Because you know that the blood flows, right? He is definitely one of us. And the name Damini is from the Yoruba tribe, and you know that there's a lot of Yoruba people that came across the Atlantic. People just taken up and placed somewhere else, but it's still there, right? Our bloodline is still there. The blood still flows, and you can tell in the National Stadium that something connected with Burna Boy and the audience, right? He knew he was home away from home. International music sensation whose real name is Damini Ebenolowa Agulo departed the island this evening through a private jet center at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay. He left on December 25th, yesterday. So he and his entourage, they're now headed back to Nigeria, because you know that from Nigeria is headed back to Lagos, the capital, and the flight is expected to last for 11 hours. He was met by senior Jamaican government officials, right? They were there. They made sure that he had a warm welcome, and of course, when he was leaving, he had that warm departure as well. Right? So Delano Seavright, Senior Advisor and Strategist at the Ministry of Tourism, and Odette Dyer, Regional Director of Jamaica Tourist Board, who bade him farewell. They also presented him with Jamaican souvenirs. So he will have these, of course, to remind him of the first visit to our island, right? During his stay in Jamaica, Burna Boy vacationed at the Trial Club and partied at Yush, Taboo, and 727 in Montego Bay. After wowing his Jamaican fans with a performance at the National Stadium, he also spent time in Kingston. So he was in the capital as well, right? So the Jamaican attractions have the attention of Burna Boy, who professed his love for the island and its people with Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. So you know that he's the hardest working minister in the government, right? He's just exceptional, right? So he's currently overseas and he's committing to ensuring that Burna Boy has a stellar vacation in the new year. So he's going to pull out all the stops to make sure that when Burna Boy returns for his vacation, it will be exquisite, right? And he's going to make sure that happens for him. As he departs the island, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be arriving. So Justin Trudeau may have arrived in Jamaica by now. It's December 26th, and he'll be there for 1 week. It's Burna Boy stating that he will be coming and purchasing a home in Jamaica. This is going to do wonders for the island. You could not pay for this kind of advertisement, right? This type of PR and exposure. Burna Boy has 11.1 million followers on Instagram alone, right? So you can just tell, like, he's earning millions and millions of US dollars, right? I believe he's one of the top grossing African entertainers, if not the highest grossing African entertainer, and he wants to purchase a home here. So this is going to put Jamaica in a different way on the map, okay? So for all the people who are involved in things that you're not supposed to be doing and putting a bad light on Jamaica, you should refrain from that, because so many people want to come and live in Jamaica. The people from the diaspora, they want to come and feel safe in their country as well, right? So I'm making a special appeal to just stop the violence. You are hurting your own flesh and blood, right? And it's time. We're going into 2023, and this is just a special appeal from Jamaica Roots TV to put down your weapons, turn a new leaf, and try to give back to your country instead of putting a bad light on Jamaica, instead of ruining Jamaica's reputation. Try to do the best you can for your island while you're still alive, because you know that life is temporary, right? We're short lifespan, right? So try to use the time that you have on earth, just to loosely quote former South African President Nelson Mandela. He said, use your time wisely while you're here on earth, because your time is very short. It's very limited. So we welcome you, Burna Boy. We can feel the love resonated with the people of Jamaica, and you could feel the vibration in the National Stadium, how they loved you and they were singing your songs and all of that. It's going to put the island in a different sphere, right? Right. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next topic. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau coming to Jamaica to spend 1 week. I think he's already there or on his way there, because it's supposed to be Boxing Day. He's arriving, right? And we say kudos to you, Justin. Enjoy yourself. We're hoping that you have a wonderful time, and we know you will have a wonderful time in Jamaica for the entire week that you're there. We're glad that you chose Jamaica for you and your family to vacation, right? Good to see that the Prime Minister is taking his family there, right? So this is a good look for the Prime Minister of Canada to be going there. He chose Jamaica, so I just want you to enjoy yourself as much as you can, Justin, and just post some pictures of you enjoying yourself in Jamaica. It's like a walking advertisement for Jamaica. Burna Boy and of course the Canadian Prime Minister in less than a week, right? Two huge figures. On to the next topic. 1831, a significant day in history in Jamaica around Boxing Day, Christmas Day. you know that we had the Xmas Rebellion, and we have to give thanks to the ancestors. We have to give thanks to those who made it possible, our ancestors, right? So on Christmas Day, the enslaved people usually get Christmas and Boxing Day as resting days. They plan not to go back to work after the Christmas holiday, right? And they were thinking of doing a passive resistance, like not working, putting down the equipment and the tools and stuff like that without violence, but it escalated. And we know that if it didn't escalate, nothing would have been done. And because of this Xmas Rebellion, the entire British Empire was freed because of the actions of the enslaved people in Jamaica. Here's some background information quickly, because we need to know our history. We need to know our roots. Without our history, we do not know where we're heading on as a people, right? We need to know where we're coming from in order to know where we're going, right? So Samuel Sharpe was born around 1801 to 1832, because they don't have a specific date for him, but he was around 28 years old when he died in after the rebellion. He was hanged. He was about 28 years old. So Samuel Sharpe, an enslaved man who was born in Jamaica, in St. James. He was very intelligent. He could read, and he was the leader of the Xmas Rebellion. It was supposed to be a passive resistance, right? Not working after Boxing Day. So it didn't turn out like that, because as I mentioned, the enslaved people usually get Christmas and Boxing Day, and they're supposed to return to work after Boxing Day, but they already planned they're not going back after Boxing Day. And because of their brave actions, we are here today living the lives that we're living right now, free, right? And their actions also helped the entire British Empire. Sharpe, born approximately 1801 to 1832, he was only 28 years old when he was hung in Montego Bay, and we see pictures of him as an old man with no hair, like he was balding, and he was only 28 years old. So I don't think that was a correct depiction of Samuel Sharpe. We already know that the Paul Bogle statue is not Paul Bogle, but a relative of Paul Bogle. Opinion that whoever did this just came up with something, because he was only 28 years old and he had a huge receding hairline. Every picture that we see drawn of him, right? And I don't think that was correct depiction. That's my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comment section. So Samuel Sharpe was born into slavery in the parish of St. James, Jamaica, on a plantation owned by Samuel and James Sharpe. So he was given the name of the plantation holder, his master, quote unquote. They named him as Archer. He also had another name, Archer. I never knew this. It was recorded in the slave return. That is like ledgers and stuff like that, because you're considered property, right? So in their accounting books, he was named Archer, aka Samuel Sharpe, the son of Eve. So we know that now that his mom's name was Eve. I'm learning as I go. He was only 28 years old when he died. The return of Samuel and James Sharpe in 1817 showed a young 12-year-old Archer on the plantation with his mom. His mother's name was Judah Blingham, and his siblings, Joe, 2 years old, and Eliza, 20 years old. So he had an older sister. He was allowed to become educated, so we know that he was literate, for which he was well respected by his enslaved peers. So I imagine them coming to him, wanting him to explain certain things to them, or read the newspaper to them, reading the Bible and all of that, right? Sometimes you have like 1 in 40, 50 people who are able to read on a plantation, right? So same So Samuel Sharpe became well known as a preacher, leader, missionary in the Baptist Church, which had long welcomed the enslaved as members and recognized them as preachers. He was a deacon at the Burchell Baptist Church in Montego Bay, and I've been to that church. Just because of Samuel Sharpe, I went there. I took pictures, but I don't have them. We didn't have these modern phones at the time, years back, and I lost those pictures, right? So when I went to Montego Bay, probably more than 9-10 years now, and we didn't have these we didn't have these phones at the time, right? So I don't even know where those pictures are, but I took some pictures there at the Burchell Baptist Church in Montego Bay, whose pastor was Reverend Thomas Burchell, a missionary from England. So we know that in order to keep the people suppressed, they welcomed them in the Baptist Church. The Anglican Church did not welcome them, right? The Anglican Church was always against them. Sharpe spent most of his time traveling to different parishes in Jamaica, educating the enslaved about Christianity, which he believed promised freedom, right? So they were kind of fed that information. Where possible, the enslaved closely followed the British Parliament's discussion. A lot of rumblings right now in Britain around 1831 itself coming to an end, right? Because the slave trade ended in 1808, right? It was illegal to continue with the trade, but the slavery continued. Okay, so where possible, the enslaved closely followed the British Parliament's discussion surrounding the abolition of slavery. And there was some mistaken belief that emancipation already occurred, right? It was granted by the British Parliament. So Sam Sharpe organized a peaceful general strike across many estates in western Jamaica to protest working conditions, right? So this took place during the harvest of critical sugarcane. During the harvest of sugarcane, a critical time for plantation owners. Generally, the workforce had to work overtime to process the cane quickly at its peak because time was of the essence, right? They have to reap it at a certain time and it has to be quickly processed. Otherwise, the sugarcane will spoil. Everything had to be done quickly, right? During these times, a lot of people lost their lives, including children, because of one, overworking. Sometimes they have no breaks and they're working for many, many hours, 15, 16, 17 hours. People even lose limbs in one of those processing houses till it was during the reaping season. This war began on December 27th, so tomorrow, a day after Boxing Day, 1831, on the Kensington estate. Okay, so reprisals by the plantation owner led to the rebels burning the crops. So because they refused to work, the plantation owners started to take like physical action against them, and therefore the rebels started to counteract that as well, right? Because you can see them running around from the drawings that we see in school, lighting the cane, right? When they attacked them, right? Because they started to shoot to kill, right? The white plantation owners and overseers. And they started to light the sugarcane, right? And then it just spread from one plantation to the next. Sharpe's original peaceful protest turned into Jamaica's largest slave rebellion. So you had people, the news started to spread like wildfire, literally. So other enslaved people, they would see the smoke and the flames and they know what was going on, right? So they just copied that on their plantation as well. There's a lot of unsung heroes, people that we do not know their names. Thousands of them died, right? So it's not just Sam Sharpe and the other freedom fighters. There's a lot of unsung heroes. And one of them is Paul. I can't remember his last name, but I read that he was taken out right in the middle of the field, right after lighting the sugarcane, right? The white owners took him out, right? and they were trying to drag, the enslaved people was trying to drag his body through the bushes, like, you know, for them not to, the white people, for them not to mutilate him, right? But it was messy, right? So we have so much to be thankful for. That's why we should not be taking our brothers and sisters' lives in Jamaica, because our foreparents, our ancestors have already died, bled. They gave up their lives. They paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to be free. They knew that they would not benefit, and they knew that their lives were coming to an end. They know that this would be for their generations to come. So they were fighting a battle not for themselves alone, but for the future generations to inherit that peace and that freedom to live. And it's very ironic that after they've suffered and died so much, that now, you know, our little island is, the crime and the violence is peaking, or at its peak. And we're just like really punishing our own flesh and blood. You should go and read your history, and you will not seek to take anyone's life after you've read your history of how we became free on the island of Jamaica. A lot of freedom fighters from the parish of St. Elizabeth. There was about, out of the 60,000 enslaved people that rose up and fought for our freedom, there was about 20 to 40% from the parish of St. Elizabeth. Colonial government used the armed Jamaican military forces and warriors from the towns to suppress the rebels. So they were suppressed within 2 weeks. 14 whites were taken out. 200 enslaved people were killed by troops. More than 200 enslaved people were killed. The government tried and convicted and hanged many of the ringleaders, including Sharpe in 1832. A total of 310 to 340 were executed. Months leading up to his execution, while in jail, Sharpe had several meetings with Reverend Henry Bleeby, a missionary, who reported that Sharpe told him, "I would rather." So these words are recorded by the Reverend Henry. Sam Sharpe told him that he would rather die on yonder gallows than live my life in slavery. So he has already made up his mind that he will not live in slavery. And we know these words from school. Because of the harsh response by the Jamaican military, this ignited a lot of parliamentary discussions in England, right? In the UK. And because of that, this Xmas Rebellion started the wheels, started the process of emancipation. So by 1833, a huge announcement was made in 1833 that the entire British Empire will be emancipated on August the 1st, 1834. So, of course, you know, it was done in two parts, 1834 and then 1838. Whenever there's Boxing Day, always remember the sacrifice that our ancestors made for us. Thanks for joining me on this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for all the support. Take care of yourself and others. Bye for now. Blessings upon blessings.